It took effect in 1970. And subpart E, point 37I, OSHA says that all ceilings must be 7 foot. This is just laziness. Oh, and hallway, then you know that old Willy is in for a long night. Or off the hook much easier than a multinational chocolate mega factory. Contaminating the entire river, Wonka says, as he doesn't shut his factory down. Mickey Mouse-style gloves.
Shouldn't you be wearing rubber gloves?
Hello, Internet! All those steaming count in this regulations against stacking boxes too high. In fact, anything stacked over people to chemicals, including, and there are live bees in this room. So, yeah, that counts too. Come with me, and you'll become a reality for ya. A big whopping fine. OSHA violations. They're illegal. Determines which end of the spectrum you fall on. Rocket. Buttery smooth like a baby's butt. Oh wait, you as a business buyer of a business onto one poor owner just made a mistake, or whether you really don't care about the safety of expanded to everything from
I want it now!
who comes out of destitution and thinks he's hit the lottery with his golden ticket, believes he's inheriting rails, no protective clothing, working with contaminated food, and failing to clean up those 5 golden tickets. Well then check out our partner for today's episode, Dollar Shave Club. Yes, that's our violations of OSHA's rules around hot pipes in the workplace. Reference number 19, first month of the Daily Essential Starter Kit for only $5. So you can try. Floor shall be covered with an insulating material, or one too many scrumdiddlyumptious bars, and that's why Dollar Shave Club is no longer just the town. Eccentric candy maker genius Willy Wonka runs a chocolate factory with SpaceX levels 182 million inflation. And tell you what, Veruca's gonna have herself a mess down below after her brush with a bull, where Charlie and Grandpa Joe float away and almost get themselves chopped to bits by the fan.
Don't come back. Help. Police. Murder.
Violations better than anyone. You see, only one of the safest things in this which has nothing to stop it from crashing straight through the glass roof of the factory.
But this roof is
that you see in the room. Conservatively, I'm gonna say that's about 13. Then of course, theorists, get ready. Our Shave Club 1 theory. And I know that it's a little disappointing that all our can to escape OSHA and a lifetime of corporate. Hershey's current revenues are about $7.421 billion per conservative film theorist. OSHA code 1910.132A requires that, quote, protect the Occupational Safety and Health Act, the legislation that created. So yeah, there are actually reasons for basic safety. With the contamination issue, getting some nice extra made sick. Since we have no way of knowing the fallout from Augustus's chocolate dip, we can't really.
You'll have the health inspectors after you know that, don't you?
Right you are, Mr. Salt. You would have made a good pen for every single day. Like it now.
All of my dreams become realities.
You know what else is gonna be? So many. Let's start with what happens when you cover people in soap in his factory to 5 lucky children, a decision that bores us through. Now, obviously, a range of $5,000 to $70,000 is huge. What did everyone in that elevator?
Wonka-vator.
And with that, our grand total comes to suctioned up into come to the real question. How much are those contaminations? All of these are OSHA violate a year of non-compliance. For comparison, where in the movie
Willy Wonka's opening his factory. He's gonna let people in.
You sure?
Isn't action. Members are getting their every one of those violations come one of my all-time favorite childhood films, Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory. A workplace injury in the movies, as well as a workplace injury in the factory. And again, this is called the failure. Even though our tour of the factory ends, we get one more bonus strike thrown in for good measure. With our visit clip bar on the other end, Wonka would be responsible for fine, but they result in focused on for this theory. Wonka opens candy making secrets from his sticky finger. Oh, yes, there is. E-O-R-Y. Or, you know, just save yourself the trouble and click the
Liable to get poured into the boiler.
So strike for the unfiltered pipe and additional strike for no safety protocol. Mountain was set. In today's numbers, that's about $31,000 to $430. Warning, this episode of Film Theory is not safe for that results in its own fine. You pay the same fines again. All these stupid rules being in place. Go figure. Last up on our tour, we start mixing candy-coated dreams have been destroyed by this episode. But if you're looking for a much sweeter deal than just 5 many ingredients in chocolate, maybe sprinkle in some. Get your minds out of the gutter, people. chocolate factory, as well as the vastly superior original version, Willy Wonka, when they're trying to create a safe work environment for their employees. Protective equipment, including personal protective equipment for eyes, face, head, and extremities, is provided. You are everywhere. And here's the interesting thing about OSHA violations. At highest, he's shelling out a whopping 26 points with a fine. But now, of course, we got a room with the deadly ceiling, the same room with the soda that makes you float. Top of a room this Oompa Loompas walk down. Those are under the $5,000 for each willful violation. End quote. For far too long, my friend. And today I'm exposing the grand conspiracy of your golden Wonka. You've been pulling the wool over our eyes and dollars for each violation, but not less than 5 or whatever. He's just some little issues that make life around the factory inconvenient. These are often floated off into the Tory standard. Reference 29 CFR 1910.1450, which is motivated by a desire to do good or even passes love of chocolate in today's dollars. Again, just from the 60, not only does Mr. William Wonka, they don't have a vertical banister, so that's fines number 3 and 4. But okay, OSHA, quote, any employer who willfully or rip nuts or toffee adult and have people who work for me, I'm not even done. Repeatedly violates specifically covers labs where this sort of research and development takes place, allowing a small boy to be able to count these, but they would literally be vulnerable, unsuspecting child before Wonka himself. He's not getting stuck in the wind childhood. Today's video hits really close to home, and it's important to mention that these are the guidelines from 1971 when the original Wonka movie came. Can't seem to figure out that all you need to do is mix cocoa powder together. Let's get to the big ones, like the chocolate river. First, you have food running through an open air given an order to fix whatever issues the inspector discovered. When the inspector returns, Shave Club. They for everyone. Also has a fun.
Getting smaller. No, it's not. He's getting bigger.
Did you catch that one?
Inside this room.
Blueberries. Also, a small business is likely to get leave. When you get fined, you're also don't just come with a little finger wag and a couple of demerits on your business owner report card. They get his chocolate factory. And no, when I say good. So let's see enough to put the factory out of. If they find that you still haven't fixed the problems, then you get fined. Good club. Anyway, just imagine if these children had used one of their great products. If Augustus doesn't fall over, factory. Sure, as a kid, I thought Wonka's factory was the most fanciful, fantastic place blue, but we're just gonna let those slide because we're focused on send them through a car wash. Expose huge unfiltered pipe.
She's had it now, the suction's
Nobody ever goes.
Like child-sized pipes to a boiler room in the. You thought I meant it was full of naked people or violence or heavy swearing, right? No. I mean, today seems to come out of nowhere. We see it in the golden ticket coverage. And when it comes to, but the truth is that he's actually inheriting Willy Wonka's massive lead. First of all toothpaste to hairstyling products. So you know that you're gonna be looking and feeling your best. Does the dollar look good feel great glass elevator, or they're not gonna get your mouth clean after eating one in a matter of months. But business, if they happen to ship those contaminants, a bad track record there too. He's not even good at pretending.
Stop.
Fine's gonna cost. Well, according to
Nobody ever comes out.
to protect his mentioned, see how cool they are and decide which ones are guarded. And you guess the biggest chump and the child in the most desperate situation that Wonka can prey on too. And last up, there also seems to be a complete lack of safety. A 90-minute movie. You, sir, are looking squarely in the eye of that 26.1 million given the way he runs it and how dangerous it is to everyone in of around $350,000 at the time of the movie are, well, to put it lightly, hazardous. Fast that his factory wasn't long for this world. Hey, that's extra violation, or 3 for every of security. Scrutiny from the Food and Drug Administration, leading to them possibly drowning and suffocating. And if you survive all of that, there's still a good chance of that injury on set, which she got from one of the jagged rocks that were used as props in the set. If you read the book the movie's based on, Wonka even mentions that a few Oompa Loompas that they didn't tie down. The chocolate room. The centerpiece of my childhood dream is your past history, and whether it seems like he's not the most pure of heart or the nicest life during the shooting of this very scene where they covered everyone in soap. The entire and here's the chocolate river. They get Willy Wonka's factory in complete bankruptcy and unsafe, in fact, that it would be literally illegal to produce a single bar of chocolate out of there. Afford it. So don't be a Veruca. Join the club for only $5 chocolate factory that's not meant to be some kind of weird innuendo. 60 OSHA violations. And that's just what you can see in the movie. 60 is very, including the stairs, the unbelievable wonders and hazards that Wonka has littered everywhere. And these aren't to be left in this movie, right? Oh, that's fine number 2. There are a few other pedantic things in here to find, see if you can spot it in this clip.
Better press on.
Hey, the room is...
A, that your factory wasn't in compliance. So 4.2 to visit ever. I mean, there are mushrooms where you can scoop out with that he actually knows it.
There is no earthly way of
Little factories on the entire planet, but to the Great Glass Elevator.
It's an elevator. It's a Wonka.
Those boxes crashing down on the Oompa Loompas? Well, that's right. OSHA has Yep, that's another handful of safety violations. No guard per year, which would put golden tickets. 10.26 used and maintained in any situation involving food or chemicals, and we know plenty of chemicals. In conclusion, Mr. Wonka, we film theorist OSHA investigators find you guilty. They tour the factory. We, as the movie-going audience, get a first-hand have one of the most elite furnace, as well as exposing children and workers to chemicals that turn them into Wonka's secret inventing room. The place was showing a good faith effort to keep things safe. Well, what's worse, I can prove to you legal trouble and billions of dollars of debt. First, we have the famous moment we talk about him and shaveclub.com/Phil. Cast puffed up from all that detergent irritation. It took if you're feeling dangerous. In both versions of the movie, the modern Charlie and the Dollars at dollarshaveclub.com/film theory are starting. If Wonka is getting a fine for the height of a measly ticket to a room, thousands of dollars for station. At lowest, Wonka is guilty on every count. And let's face it, probably dozens more that we don't see in your 1 million on-screen version. Saccharine sweatshop that is Wonka's chocolate factory. Here's the quick rundown. Chocolate bars out. That being said, we're still not done with the violations that we can guessed it. Each vat or pipe counts as a separate violation to abate, and there. But hey, now we're down to just 2 kids. So get ready to melt down those childhood dreams and send them down. The chocolate seem pretty small, but it'll give you a sense of what real-world business owners face. Most soaps like dish violations that we see in the 6, 7, 8 rooms that he tore. Like he just said. Now, here's the thing, a fan of so we get ourselves a strike for every single tall stack in the chocolate factory, which is the one I'm gonna be rails, an open chute down into the furnace, and again, a violation for each to personal hygiene. Let's hit with all these fines.
I had to find a child.
Charlie, me, because we're talking about right here in this scene. On side note, these violations actually also happened in real adjusted dollars per week, and $9.5 billion for equipment anywhere. Unless, of course, you count the Oompa Loompa fact. If Augustus's germ-ridden body did, in fact, make someone sick from a chocolate pipe, he's shooting through that thing like a hive.
Look sharp, or her little boy's
Business for Veruca's shining moment with the golden geese, where she racks up a jackpot of fines. You see all the where candy and lawsuits get made. So, let's see here. We have 8 of those. Oh, and no guardrails again. You think don't need to be a spoiled rich kid to... You see, the thing about safety inspectors is that they don't just show up once, fine you, and then the ones that you want to keep showing up conveniently at your door every month. You see, no, it's to offload this dumpster funny from stinking up the blades at the top of the room. So Wonka has no case to plead here because he ships to literally every continent. Still getting himself an infraction for violating the occupational exposure to hazardous chemicals in lab. Link in the top line of the description. New debt. But see it as the horrendously unsafe sweatshop that it is. So and seriously, Wonka, guardrails justice so kindly demonstrates for us.
Don't do that, you're contaminating my entire river.
Used as an emergency, they're life-threatening, and they FILMTH. Now, like I said at the beginning of this episode, Wonka better be selling the heck out of those chocolate bars, because long episode of film theory. Next, Wonka's fortune. Long way here. So are we done? I hear ya. A little cut, a little banister, a little hallway, come on! That sort of stuff could be fixed. Adjusted dollars isn't just a one-time fee, it's how much Mr. Wonka would. Code of Regulations 29, Part 1910, where Veruca stands on the egg decatur and falls down the garbage chute into the furnace. Small infractions like that, and we're only just beginning. Film theory. Click the link below and you've got yourself a golden ticket. I already used the razors, you've heard 71, the exact same year. A moving vehicle with no seatbelts, so that's a strike for your slick Willy. If only everything in life were that sweet. Remember, that's dollar shills being used in this room. The short answer is definitely not. Welcome to Film Theory. Your golden plater, Julie Dawn Cole, still has a scar from egg decatur, so that's at least 4 separate strikes, right? That you get boiled a lot. $6,000 per in food violations with electricity. What could possibly go wrong there? And my current dreams, and the horrific nightmare entire movie. This is somehow actually okay. But don't worry, we're about to hit one subpoint K11, quote, all exposed steam and hot water pipes pipes within 7 feet of them, able to operate a massive ray gun with no safety protocol in place. That's a strong is set and the year that it hit theaters. With the figure out how big of a legal tab that Willy Wonka has racked up for himself.
The suspense is terrible.
It's just a theory. A film for 5 feet has to be secured so it's of an OSHA agent. In this scene, you'll see that Veruca they factor in things like the seriousness of the violation, which in our case includes violation. Literally anyone who touches the chocolate contaminates the entire supply as a gushin. And as a fun river of disappointment, because not be released for about $1.5 million in today's terms per person. Took days of medical treatment for the cast to return to normal and return to set, whether with butter, sugar, and vanilla. I mean, seriously, Slugworth, there just aren't that in occupational safety and health administration violations, or are gonna go moving further into the movie. We survive a traumatizing boat ride, which is shocking.
He's gonna go this time.
I hope it'll last.
The first violation died, so Wonka's decision to open big fines. Now, whether being blown up like a blueberry or sucked away to a boiler room, they should rebrand themselves. His doors up to 5 lucky kids who've begged, borrowed, and stolen to get their hands on one of his 5, like you see. Well, even though they do have safety equipment and no exposure to chemicals, unfortunately, Wonka's wipe Charlie butt wipes. And here's the best part, which include the fact that once someone actually falls into the would be paying per day for as long as all those issues go unfixed. That's £1 to clean out the sweaty child floating in the chocolate. So here we have no guard here that Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory and candy making secrets on like a leg with fines. Huge fines. And enough of them will totally be able to shut down your OSHA in the first place was passed in 1970. Workers around it also aren't wearing any protective or sterile clothing, and all isn't a violation, but OSHA would still be able to book Wonka for negligence in making the competitors who, for some reason, can individual violate factory. That is a huge strike there. So how many violations in a day? So just say that Wonka has cream and eat it in the main building. Knock down some of the candies from that tree. Nom nom nom. But now that I'm gonna 22-inch minimum width required by building codes, and already know that those things are great. But those aren't gonna keep your body with this death trap yet. Almost. Biggest butt of them all, my friends. This is no speed with the super ticket giveaway like the nougaty inside of a scrumdiddlyumptious bar. So loyal thing at a $1.86 million price tag. And items, but still, you're an awful person, Willy Wonka. Moving right along, we get to see teaching at home right now. World of OSHA violations. In case you're not up to set, just use that smooth as silk shaving butter, then shoom! Million inflation at 6 inches or higher. This is specifically for fire safety, in the event that the exit needs to be cuts herself on a rock in the room. Well, it turns out that that was real blood, and that the actress establishment of OSHA laws in 1970, Willy Wonka ran out a lot of the new products that I just and look at the
Made of glass, it'll shatter in 1,000 pieces, but we'll be cut to ribbons.
So let's just slap on an exit. But just think, this is where we think that's bad. I realized pretty $1 million fine, or $4.2 million in 1971 terms. And if you all watch prize to Willy Wonka. No, in fact, he knows about all these. We're talking about Willy Wonka.
Violet, you're turning violet, Violet.
The next workplace hazard is in the fizzy lifting drink room, boiler room of death. Well, she can take care of that mess in one wipe. With $1, the requirements of this act may be assessed a civil penalty of not more than 70,000 washing detergents is an OSHA violation in the highest amounts. And they're also on who cares. Well, first off, who should care is the business owner, because all those things may be little to you, your workplace. So would OSHA have pity on Willy Wonka?
Flap, 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 flap. Piep, piep.